just walking down to the garage to check on my van. I got back into Poland, back to the hotel around about 2:30 this morning. Up at 7 again. So yeah, feeling pretty knackered. So how many bolts? Oh, I've got loads of bolts. I've got new discs. Cool. So new discs on that side. New bolts. Hopefully I've got discs all round. New discs all round. Yeah, new discs that side as well. Wow. So this is the garage that's been looking after my van at short notice. And there's the beast sitting in all the snow. Oh yeah, hopefully they've sorted it. So it looks like I've got new discs and pads, obviously new wheel bolts, hopefully a new bearing too. But it's been sat here for 3 days now. It's begging for a journey. Yeah, new disc that side as well. It is fair. I would say it was something I was going to do in the next kind of few months for the next big trip. So yeah. Right, let's go inside now and find out how much they're going to charge me. So they've shown me the parts they replaced. They said they replaced the discs, which I would agree with the discs actually, because the bearing failure did cause that side to heat up. So discs and pads I agree, and then if you're going to replace one side, you've got to replace them in pairs, so that's fair enough, nothing wrong with that. And then obviously they've changed the wheel bearing as well. So put some new wheel bolts on. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Worked out about £375. They only took cash, so one of the mechanics actually drove me to a cash machine to get some cash out. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. So I can get going home today, albeit yeah, because I didn't get in until 2:30 this morning. It took us 7 hours to get through the border coming back from Ukraine to Poland. So probably only had about 3 or 4 hours kip. And yeah, I'll probably do maybe a couple of hours on the road and then just pull over and sleep this one off. Just dropping off the rental van. Right then, that is me getting ready to leave the hotel, and the guys just said goodbye, thanks for looking after me. And now the van's all fixed, ready to go. I'm going to put my destination into the sat nav and then get cracking. The noise you can hear is a diesel heater fan just kicking on. I've just turned it off, so it's just going through its cool down cycle, because yeah, you need the diesel heater on all the time. It's about -8 outside, so I don't want everything in the van freezing, so I just leave the diesel heater on when I'm not around. Right, less waffle John, more driving. Good morning folks, welcome to this lovely frosty morning in Germany. Yeah, I drove pretty much all the way across Poland yesterday, from when we finished our little debrief in the hotel. Like like I say, and said it before, you know, I prefer to drive at night. There's less traffic on the road, slightly easier driving conditions. And then I think it got to about midnight or something like that. Thought, you know, call it a day. Found this nice little, it's like a sports centre car park. There was a couple of trucks here when I got here last night, but I didn't hear them leave. I was well gone. Seem to be sleeping better in the van now. And also, something I didn't appreciate until I got it back yesterday was I don't feel I've bonded with the van yet, in terms of, you know, recognising it as my home, and that. It's sort of been a something in the workshop that I've built, you know, and I've used to go and get supplies or drive around, whereas now it's actually my home. So you know, it's providing me shelter, warmth needed right now. It's currently about -9, -10, but obviously, you know, like getting used to the bed and sleeping and the toilet and emptying the toilet and all that kind of stuff, and just to see how things generally work out. Little idea of the sink and being set lower is really good for having a wash in the morning, that kind of stuff, because I can get my head down lower and don't get water splashed over there. Yeah, little seating area stuff. The storage underneath it is obviously not ideal right now because I do need to sort that out, but yeah, it's nice to get feel like home. And like I say, it wasn't until I went yesterday and picked the van up from the garage. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that just dropping the keys off to a vehicle and just going, yeah, garage, fix that, and then going away for like 2 days, that's a big deal for me. It's not trust issues, it's separation issues. Like, that's my home, everything I've got is in there, and I've just handed the keys over to someone. Obviously I took out my valuables and my stuff like that, but yeah, I guess at the end of the day, I've now kind of developed a little bond for it. Ooh, should I call it James? James Bond. Take me home, James. Well, you're just there, sir. Yeah, I don't know yet. I kind of thought of a name for the van. I was going to call it Moopy or Coopy, you know, because it's black and white. But I don't know about that one yet. Still undecided. Speaking of that, travelling on my own has been difficult and strange too. So that's taken a bit of getting used to. But I think I'm getting there, getting into a new groove. And like I say, yesterday when I came to pick the van up, it was like, oh yeah, it's my van, get inside. And it's like, oh, it's got all my stuff in it. It's all homely and stuff. So I do like the fact as well of like place things around for what I thought the time would be all right, and they're working out quite well. So the diesel controller is at the edge of the seating area, just behind the driver's seat. So what that means is, like last night, I knew I was about 10 minutes away from here, so I could switch the diesel heater on to heat the back of the van, so when I turned the engine off, the back of the van was heated. So little bits like that, you know, just get used to it. So pretty much I am at Dresden, thereabouts, probably about 80 kilometers or something like that from Polish border. And today my intention is to cross all of Germany, and possibly a little bit of Netherlands as well. And then my crossing back to the UK is tomorrow night. So I've been given instructions already by Monday that I need to stop in at Auchan and pick up some snacks. It's been an interesting trip, and I think I'm just waking up a little bit from what I saw. Yeah, we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, an interesting trip nonetheless. Hopefully I have a nice easy drive today. Today is a Friday. Ooh, a bit slippy. And I've got to basically go through the industrial heartland of Germany. Yeah, so that's going to be fun on a Friday. Van's a bit dirty as well. I've not found any car washes that are actually open yet. But the new brakes are working out all right. Everything's good there. And yeah, apart from my washer bottle stuff freezing at -10, I thought it was quite okay, about -5 or so. But yeah, -10, froze up, and it hasn't defrosted yet. Yeah, this side is very dirty. Very dirty. Right, anyway, less waffle. I'm going to go back in the side door and shake all this snow off my feet. Get back on the road. So that's where we are now. We were over there near the number 17 yesterday, just on the border of Poland and Ukraine. So drove pretty much all the way down that orange line yesterday. And now I'm going pretty much down and across that way. So pretty much as I can, straight lining it all the way across. And it reckons I'm going to get to Calais at 9 PM tonight at this, but I'm going to take it easy today. My booking isn't until tomorrow night, so yeah, I'm just going to gather that on a Friday it's going to be busy as, and then tomorrow I need to, like I say, stack up on all the snacks before I leave. I might do some editing as well, so yeah. Hey, look at that. Learn how to drive in the snow and ice. Well, that's cool. And a BMW rear-wheel drive. Yes, baby. Some donuts, please. They've not come to do donuts, have they? Because that'd be cool. Imagine your driving instructor saying, come on, let's do some donuts. Are they doing donuts? No. Oh, that's a shame. Anyway, yeah, so back to the route. Let's go. So I was asked a lot of questions when I bought the motorhome about why haven't you bought a left-hand drive motorhome, considering you drive on the continent an awful lot of the time. So obviously the last couple of days I've driven a left-hand drive van, and getting back in my right-hand drive van, I thought I'd explain how I found that. And for me, there's no real difference. I'm quite confident driving this effectively on the wrong side of the road. Just as confident as I was driving a left-hand drive van on the right side of the road, or the correct side of the road, should I say. Which is weird, because yeah, you drive a left-hand van on the right side of the road, and you drive a right-hand van on the left side of the road, and that's normal. Whoever invented this, eh? So pulling out of junctions, you know, overtaking, going past people, general driving, honestly, no difference. I've been driving on the continent for, oh wow, 30 years almost, I think now, thereabouts. So yeah, just normal to me, I don't mind at all. And I wouldn't say that driving the left-hand drive van, that I found it had any advantages or anything like that. Because either way, when you pull up to some junctions, you've either got clear view or you have to manoeuvre in a certain 90-degree angle to give you that clear view. Doesn't matter which way, left or right, you're going to have the same problem. The only thing I did find, and that was just because habit, is I was trying to change the gear with the door handle. So it took me a while to get used to changing gear with this hand. And even then, to be fair, if I got sort of like, you know, oh, I need to set off quick, I would fumble and try and change gear with this hand in the other van. But that's just habit. I go back in this van and everything's alright. It's just habit, really. So, yeah, to all the people that have asked, why haven't I bought a left-hand drive van, those are the reasons. Sorry, I'm just paying attention because I'm actually on an Autobahn with an unrestricted speed. So every time I overtake, I have to watch out for vehicles doing 140 miles an hour, because they really do catch up quick. There's my gap. Just gonna go for it. Literally within like 4 seconds, there was no one there, and now there's a van up my arse. Let's get out of his way. And then I'll go for the next series of overtakes. Oh, we're just coming into a control zone. 120 clicks is the speed limit now. That does make it a bit more acceptable for overtaking. But yeah, the German Autobahns with the unrestricted sections. Oof, that makes interesting driving when you drive quite a slow vehicle, slow in comparison to, you know, everyone that's doing 140 miles an hour. I've made it to the of Germany. I've been to many already today, and hopefully I'll be at Gur soon, but right now I'm at and look at that traffic ahead, all the way up the hill. That's mega traffic. I'm going to be here for some time. Apparently there's an accident according to Waze. Now if you're wondering what I'm doing, by the way, with this, I use the Garmin as just a rough idea of where I am and as a kind of a backup. Other than that, it's useless. It's useless at directing. It doesn't have live traffic or anything like that on it. And for everything else I use Waze, simply because I do get information about traffic, albeit that it couldn't get me past this as to where I was going, so I'm ended up stuck in it. But yeah, I use Waze for general navigation, and that's just so I can see where I am, because it's obviously a big trip I'm doing, so just to see how long it is to each bit. Oh, and if you're wondering why I've not replaced the actual stereo yet with a combined unit like I did in the last van, I've just not got around to it yet. And actually this stereo's pretty good, hands-free. It has actually got TomTom sat-nav on it, albeit it's a few years out of date now, and they want about 30 quid or something to update it. Seems a bit of a rip-off. But yeah, I will get around to it. It's a bigger task than it was on the last motorhome, because I've got steering wheel controls. So yeah, I'll probably get around to it just so I can declutter the dash. It's a bit chilly out there. Just come back from my Mackey's. Just stop for a bit of a break, get some fuel at services, that kind of stuff as well. I was just sort of like sat there of McDonald's thinking how surreal that was. That literally this time yesterday we was having a debrief about obviously the last 48 hours previous to that of being in Ukraine, and you know, I was asking a few questions of the guys. They were asking a few questions. You know, did they make us feel safe, and you know, were the briefings and all the little security tips and all that all good? Which I said, you know, yeah, I genuinely felt very safe, to the point of, I think I said it on camera once, that it almost feels normal. It feels like I could be walking around, you know, any of the countries that we've been on our trips recently, and that's the weirdest part about it. And they then turned round and said, okay then, so while we were there, there were 16 drone strikes. He said, you heard the air raid shelters go off? So, and yeah, I heard them twice. And they said, okay then, so 2 buildings were hit, and that hit home then. That was like, holy shit, that's just incredible. Their phones were pinging all the time. I was taking the mickey out of Bill and Ben, obviously not the real names, Bill and Ben, the security men, but I was taking the mickey out of them because the phones are constantly pinging, and I was, you know, just saying like, you know, you're popular, and they didn't say anything at the time. So one of them said, yeah, that sound is basically intel that we're getting in to let us know what's going on, what we might need to do, as well as all the information that's, you know, being brought in by their company for things going on elsewhere in the world as well. So they have a global picture of what's going on, and you know, at what time they might need to step in and, you know, provide assistance to other people as well as me and Kirsty from the charity, and that was really kind of, you know, the whole picture was to then see a wider understanding of what their jobs are and where we were. For example, you know, there was a couple of times I came out of the coffee shop that went to the bookshops with the book, you know, the bookshop that had the books everywhere in the bunker downstairs, and out of there, basically we had to do separate tasks. So Bill went with the translator and Ben went with Kirsty and I, and they were having a bit of a chat, and I went, oh, what's that about? And he went, oh, it's just RV points. And obviously that's to make sure, well, he told me, he said, oh, we were just discussing if anything happens that within 1 hour we need to be here, and within 2 hours we need to be there, and if we can't get there, then we get back to this point, and at the very worst head back to where we'd just been because it had the bunker downstairs. And that's their reality. So whilst I felt very safe and almost like a tourist walking around Lviv, their perception of the whole, you know, what was going on, the whole picture and everything was very different. And I think this is the thing. It's like I was having a chat with the translator as well, saying, you know, have you heard anything back from the people there? And she says, yeah, we heard back from the hospital, and the hospital have finally got round to unpacking everything and looking over everything, and they're just astounded. They said they're probably going to write you an official letter from the Ukraine government to thank you for your donation. So I said, oh, that's incredible. I'll let, you know, the people know that helped out on this trip. I'll let them know. She says, well, don't forget your help as well. So all I did was just drive here. And she said she'd been chatting to the hospital administrator about who we were, because obviously I'm just carrying a camera most of the time and filming, so I just look like a cameraman, I guess. And yeah, Anastasia, who is the translator, she said she'd explained that I'd driven all the way from the UK in my van that I'd just built, and that I live in a van. And the hospital administrator says, well, if he lives in a van, surely he needs help. And she was saying, no, he chooses to live in a van. And apparently that was just mind-blowing for them to understand that people choose to live in a van, you know, in a very basic way. Because to them, if you haven't got power and you haven't got water and that's, you know, quite a dire situation. They really struggle. And I said, well, I've got water and power in my van. If I didn't, then I'd really struggle as well. But it's just like a smaller home. But I suppose it's that perception of just how people see you, but also the way you live your life and how you can help other people. I mean, I remember going back to school, I was the fat kid who's blind in one eye, and everyone said, oh, you'll never be anything, you can't drive, you won't be able to do this, you can't play sports because you can't even catch a ball because my vision prevents me from, you get the idea anyway. And yet, you know, part of this whole YouTube journey is to show people what they can do and how easily they can do it without having a load of special skills and all that kind of stuff. And I guess the message of this particular sort of, you know, trip that I've been on is all you need is to be you and to care, and then you can help other people regardless of how big the task might sound. To travel to a country that's currently at war and unfortunately take not as many things as you want, but still take enough that they help people out so much that they want to show the gratitude by having the government write you a letter. That for me is just, I just think it's brilliant. Sorry. Oh, that wasn't my intention. I just think the gravity of what I've explained out loud is perhaps sunk in. Well, when I set off, I just wanted to help people. And I was explaining to the charity on the way that, yeah, I'm really sorry that I've only got, like, you know, a few boxes of stuff that doesn't really even fill the van. And is it worth it? Even from a couple of days before I set off and booked my crossing, I was just saying, is it worth it? Are we just going to be laughed at? Turning up, offering to help people, you know, making this grand trip and then not managing to help people. And obviously I know now that it was worth it. So I guess the message is, no matter how small you think that your amount of giving to other people is, or the amount of help you can provide other people,
just do it. Because she just, what's seemingly, you know, not a lot to you, it's just amazing to other people. Just don't give up. And don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't do. Just go and do it. Prove them all wrong.